I can hear you, John.
Yes, we can hear you.
I hear you, John.
I don't hear anybody saying anything.
Oh,
Testing, 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 testing.
you can't hear us, John? Chris, I guess he can't hear us.
No, Dan, have you got your speaker set up?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Shake your head, yes.
Yes.
We cannot hear you for some reason.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, Chris.
Dan, there were you guys, are your speakers on correctly?
Yeah, the speakers are on, the microphone's on. And it does the test here, but for some reason we can't hear any of the meeting participants.
Make sure the speakers are set right on your Zoom.
All right, where would I look for that at here?
Click on audio, click on the, yeah,
Audio
Make-
setting.
make sure the speakers are set to the headphones.
Ah, that could be the problem. Let me, give me a second here.
Can you hear us now?
Try that again.
Can you hear us now?
Yes. No.
No.
Only through the computer. Do that again.
Tiffany just texted and said she's having trouble
Can
getting.
you hear us now? John's probably going to have to mute his computer.
Try that on.
That way otherwise you'll get some feedback.
Yeah, I'm not.
Under select speaker, Dan, you should be able to see headphones. So that should then, you should be able to hear us. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
I guess not, Chris. Up in the upper right-hand corner of mine, it keeps saying connecting to audio and roll, you know?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's showing that your computer is trying to connect to audio. It seems like it might have stopped there now.
Hi, Finn. Hi to everybody.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hey, oh, there's Benny.
Try this, Dan. See if you can change the video to your camera. I mean, to the computer's camera. Yeah, it should show the your HP camera. It says you're trying to connect to audio for some reason. Yes, definitely.
I think we're on now.
We okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
we're on now. Now. Thank you.
Can you hear us now, John?
yes. Can you hear me?
You guys can hear us? All right.
We hear Pete.
Yeah, so we'll call to order the December 12th, 2024 meeting of the Grounds Committee. Confirmation of proper notice given.
Meeting notice posted is required by statute on the 2nd of December.
All right. Everybody, just call out your name so John can write down the roll call, please.
We got Sue Wolf, we got Russ Miller, we got Alan Kaplowitz, we got Bob Koala back from your absence. And we've got Pete and Tiffany on Zoom along with Chris and 5 owners. So we have a quorum.
And Barbara.
Did I? Yes, I said owners.
All right. Did my chairman comments? I'll do that later on. Everybody had a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting? Any deletions, corrections,
We have
additions?
two. Actually, we have 2 that I submitted to everybody. Or should have submitted to everybody, the 19th and the November meeting and the September meeting. All in favor? Okay. All right, Pete.
Okay. All right, Jeff, staff reports, please.
Yes, sir. Bed number 1, which is the entryway to coming into property off Cortez Road. I put 96 petunia in the office flower pots out front, 12 marigolds, 12 dianthus. Your remaining balance for what I have is $633.78. The rainfall total for November was 0.7 inches.
Okay, any questions for Jeff? Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any owners' requests?
I'm just gonna give the status of the 141 Pinehurst Strump. The contractor has taken down the wall. And John Brown is to come back because we prepaid the grinding of that stump, and he'll be in next week. And then the contractor's coming back and pouring the footing and putting the wall back up. So we're finally moving along with that project.
That's great. Good. Great. Update on the cleanup from the hurricane?
Gone very well. It's taken us almost 7 weeks now. But our crew has picked up the majority of the debris and cleared. Obviously, the front was done first, and finally this week we got behind all the way up to, because we started at Woodlawn, we got all the way up until Pinehurst. There are still piles of debris that our good owners have put together in some areas to help us in our efforts to clear up. Brown's trees are finished. Their bills were over $200,000. The fortunate part, if there is such a thing, is that the FEMA has been coming in, removing the debris, thereby saving us a considerable amount of money. I would have to say, Jeff, would you say at least 40 loads they've taken out of here, if not more?
More.
More, and you know, at $300 to $800 a load, depending on the weight and everything like that, that's a considerable savings to us. They're in today taking again more materials, so we just let them come in and take it away. The mega, since our last meeting, the mega banyan behind 175 has been uprighted. That was almost a 3-day project of cutting and coercing and pushing, and it's sat very nicely. There's the carcass, if you will, at the corner of Oakview and Wildwood Springs Boulevard still is sitting not as deep as it should be, and we're going to have to do something, either push it back and trim some roots to get it to seat properly or something, but that still has to be done. Other than that, things are coming in much better shape. As a matter of fact, we're cutting grass today and finishing up. Obviously, we can't do the front because of Christmas decorations, but the normal, for the first time in 7-8 weeks, normal activities have been resumed.
That's great, John. Before we talk about, I heard about paring down the wording on the residents doing grounds committee work. And I just want to say that we have to, with the hurricane, we have to go one step at a time. We have to get our existing trees back upright, or whatever needs has to be done to them before we go out and start buying trees to put other places. And then after that, I even, I like the old Florida effect anyway. That's the way I am. The butterfly garden sounds like a good idea, but you have to really look at where you're going to put it, because believe it or not, people that live in Pinehurst probably have never been back to Woodlawn and Lakeside. They get in their cars, they go out shopping, unless they're walkers all the time. You'd have to find a central location for it. And that was just stuff I was thinking of, as far as that goes. And Tiffany, was there any other feedback on the rewriting it?
The cleanup guidelines, or
Yeah, you said you wanted to streamline it. You were Gus?
yeah, and I have a feeling that that's what Barbara's here to talk about too, since there were just some more disagreements with how the cleanup guidelines are working, since we've lived with it for a year and we kind of see where the pitfalls are and where
Yeah.
the strengths are. Maybe we could all put our heads together and revise it in a way that will be better for our community, given the problems that we've seen with it so far. So Gus and I had a few ideas. We can talk about it in this discussion.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, would definitely be looking to the group to see what they think of maybe changing it a little bit to make it better.
Probably. All right. And because I was thinking for years, without this set plan, for years we've an individual has come to us or a group from a cluster and asked to do something to improve their cluster. And I'd say 9 out of 10 times it was okay. They did it, and it really worked. And so this is going to work. The only problem we have is when people that don't take part complain. But that's normal. But I don't know, people that are trying to help, they're not doing anything wrong. As far as I'm concerned. You see what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it's great that people are willing to help, and
That's it. Yeah.
especially when it gets so many weeds and stuff out of the areas. That's definitely something positive.
Yeah.
Well, and it's their home, so they should have the right to do it. So I think guidelines, letting them know what those plants are, which ones are poisonous, which ones, like how to get rid of the potatoes, don't try to plant them and don't try to eat them is helpful.
I think more in order here is some clearing of the areas that at least some of the owners feel that they should be left more natural than a distinct clearing of all the I guess pine needles or whatever debris is in there. Is what more question here than anything else? Am I right or not?
Well, and then we had like a drought, and then we have sprinkler systems that don't work, and so a lot of these systems that we expected to pop back have no popping. They're just sitting there waiting.
Pretty much everything's back on now, Jeff.
All the irrigation is back on. Ed and I still have to fix several broken pipes that are around trees or that have gotten crushed from John Brown moving their tractors, whatever, over the ground and pops a few things, and we still have to repair that. But everything is up and running.
Yeah, we're finding we're getting calls after the fact in the evening, like we've had this kind of burst or that kind of
Yeah.
burst. And that's mainly the way sometimes we find it. Not to hop back, but there was one more owner request, Peter, that we had hanging over, if you will. From last meeting, Roger Schultz had presented a plan, and I think there was some discussion on it and some thought, and we still have to massage that or give him the approval.
I see the notes in the minutes.
Yeah.
That says, delayed until the area can be totally cleared and reviewed by an arborist, and I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that? Okay.
The trees are still fine in the pots,
Okay.
so I understand that, I just don't want it to be 6 months.
No. Okay, then we'll go put that one to finally have inspected by the arborist when he comes on duty.
John, I have another
Yeah.
request. Nancy Stevens in our cluster, she has a ponytail palm. Pretty good size, about 7 feet tall. And she'd like to donate that and plant it somewhere around the cluster.
Okay,
I could work with Jeff to figure out a good spot.
that should be fairly, is it in a pot now or
It's in a pot.
so it can be transferable and planted without an issue?
It's gonna take
We're not taking it out of the
some
ground.
muscle to move the pot, it's so big.
Working out.
Well, we give one, yeah, but it's not in the ground now. Okay, I see no reason why the committee wouldn't want to accept the movement of a tree.
Yeah, we have a lot that need replacing.
My request had an additional tree list that I
Yeah.
showed to Jeff that, is yours to put wherever you choose, and it is in a pot. So it's very good.
We'll take any and all trees.
So, John, do you want to make a motion to accept that request?
Whoever would like to make the motion,
I make the motion that we accept the tree donation from Nancy Stevens.
okay?
I second.
Any opposed? Okay. It's unanimous. Start another tree. Barbara, I mean, you were, I think, interested in discussion concerning the verbiage of owners cleanup. Is that primarily your interest today?
Yes.
Okay. Have we satisfied Barbara's thoughts as far as reworking or having a better understanding of what we're going to allow to have done?
Can I just add to that? I didn't know if you wanted to wait till owner's comments or for that.
We're talking about it now, so why
Okay.
not?
Yeah, so this person that was cleaning out this copse of trees again, because this is the same copse of trees behind me that triggered this whole landscape guideline to begin with. They were not aware of the landscape guideline approved by the board back in June of this year. So it's not on the website. So probably issue number one is nobody knows about it. Number two, I really take objection to Peter, you just characterizing me as somebody who's complaining. I'm trying to support you guys in the guidelines that were passed. so that people aren't out there just doing what they want, which is in this case, their condo doesn't even face this area. They're just trying to get exercise and stay active. So it's about communicating the guideline out there and making sure people are aware of it.
Certainly could post it on the website, I would think. And
Well-
seems to be an issue in one area, possibly, because that's where it seems to be. We can post it on the bulletin boards there, right there too. What do you think? Think that'll help?
The person's from Oakview.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, we can post it on every bulletin board, but it seems like it needs to be read by people in Oakview before anybody else, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Additionally doing stuff, is that our crew or just
It's owner
an owner?
and owner.
Okay, that was maybe communicating to our crew.
Yeah, no, I wish we had time to go in depth on some of the things that that other people have time. And, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but we also have, certain lacks of freedoms in condominium living. Communal living is being courteous to everybody. And, all of us should have input and thoughts.
I agree, John. But we're talking about taking a non-landscaped area and turning it into a landscaped area. It's never been landscaped since the day this complex opened. So
What
Uh,
exactly was she doing, Barbara?
clearing out to the ground the inside of the copse of trees. This is the same exactly what happened to the same copse of trees. I think it was a year and a half ago.
Same person?
Might have been, I can't speak to this if it's the same person. Maybe not the same person, but might be a couple of people.
All right.
But they're all from Oakview, I believe.
I mean, this isn't the same lady that was using the ladder to climb up the trees and strip them?
I don't know. I never heard about
Oh,
that
okay.
incident.
All right. Okay.
Peter, if, I apologize for not having this information on the website. Tiffany, if you could send me the last final draft that we approved, I'll make sure that gets on the website.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I'll definitely send that to you, Chris, and maybe we could also send it to this person so that she has especially the safety information and knows what our rules are. And do we want to maybe add it to our agenda to dig into the document in the new year so that we can review what's not working and maybe talk about some ways to change it to make it better? Or do we want to try to tackle that today? What do you think?
I think if I may add, we
Yeah.
worked on it very well and adopted a policy that everybody was comfortable with. The fact that it didn't get communicated is our office facility. We should have done something there. Let's post everything and see if it develops an issue. Because as I said, that the initial guidelines were put together with a lot of thought, and I don't know that they need to be massaged or amended at all, as long as they're communicated. Let's see what
Okay.
happens. That's my
We'll
suggestion.
start with communication. That sounds great. I'll send that to you, Chris.
And
Okay,
it's not my intention to throw anybody under the bus who didn't know about the policy to begin with. So let's start with communication and then go from there. And then, going forward, then, if anybody's kind of violating the guidelines, then you have to deal with them on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. If they don't get on the website and read it and something happens, then I think you're gonna have to send an email to that person or
Right.
communicate, in person or by email just to that individual.
Yeah. And something that I thought of for this specific individual, since they were looking to do outdoor work for exercise, per their
Exercise, yeah.
doctor's orders or
Yeah.
whatever, is that we do have a few areas that have been approved through the guidelines that maybe we could point them to those areas instead of them sort of just taking on an area without approval, like behind Barbara's unit.
In other words, if you want to help, this is a good area to go to.
That's a
Yeah.
great
Right.
idea.
All right. Yeah,
Overall, anything with those vines
Sure.
going everywhere, you know, wherever you find
Okay.
them, it'd be good to be not there. With her area being kind of wiped clean when it was supposed to be like a berm and a barrier or whatever. It's not the right time to really be planting things, because theoretically, we're gonna have probably a freeze in January. But when spring happens, can we plug some extra ferns or something? Some of those plants that we thought were gonna pop back up that didn't? Or are they gonna be popping by themselves?
That's a great
Sure.
idea. I would love to see the ferns come back around the perimeter. What happens on the inside of the copse of trees now is what's probably had happened before, is it gets loaded up with weeds and vines. So that's going to happen pretty fast. But most concerning is the loss of habitat for all the critters that lived in there.
I think Gus talked to me about the fact that they can be repopulated with ferns fairly easy.
Some of the ferns are coming back already. What we talked about doing was getting with Jeff, finding some other areas around here that we could harvest some ferns out of. They're pretty easy to take out and replant. They're basically a weed. They grow pretty quickly. And we could start doing some of that in there to repopulate the center of it.
So a group effort probably result in, we should say, the time in the spring. I think historically we've avoided planting anything in January and February because of these little
Cold weather,
So
planting in March.
do it. Mhm. Karen?
We have some really energetic helpers in Pinehurst that would like to have help in any way. So is there a way to coordinate the efforts?
Sure, we'll establish some policies, or not policies, but plans in, as spring comes. And then we'll make everybody aware of them, and anybody that wants to help will be welcome.
Who's your cluster representative?
She is.
And
Okay.
I share with another person.
Yeah, I mean, that's how we did, what we did in our cluster was I organized some of it. It's pretty simple to do, and people were very willing to come out and help.
I know.
Some aren't, but some are.
But also all of our ferns in the natural area have died because of no rain. So we
They'll
don't
be back.
need a lot to share, but we have none now.
Yeah. John, may I comment about the communication?
Yes.
I don't want this particular person to feel singled out with an email, and perhaps since it hasn't been communicated, Chris could do the normal email blast to everybody of this policy so that it gets out there, as well as posting, and as well as putting on the website, but that would immediately get it out to everyone. I don't want this person to turn to their neighbor and say, "Did you get this?" And everybody said no. That would be uncomfortable.
How about that, Chris?
I think that's a great idea, Roger.
I think we
Yeah.
already said that.
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah.
Hear that part. I'll hear the website and send it to her.
Okay, we'll do it. Good
You
thought.
you were talking about tweaking it, so rather than sending it out like, the Gestapo says this, maybe, like, this is our policy, would you like to review it? We would like encourage your feedback or something like that. No? You don't want feedback?
Feedback's
Were you-
good if everyone feels like taking that on. I'll defer to the group.
That gets kind of out of hand. Then you're also adding a significant amount of time to this. I mean, if we can keep it within the committee.
Well, let's see what happens with the communication, and then we can, if further issues develop, we can bring it up again.
it's fluid.
Well, I'm sure an owner, if they are unhappy, is still gonna communicate, so it doesn't, I guess you don't have to ask for communication. It's gonna happen.
Good point. Okay, I guess your committee comments, Pete.
What did you say, John?
I think you're at committee comments.
Okay, good. All right. Do I have comments from the committee members?
I have a question. Gus, did you hear back from Eric about the banyan work yet?
I called him this morning and didn't get a response. So to add to what John was saying earlier about the banyan at the corner of Wildewood Springs and Oakview, the banyan it's not set back in properly. We had talked last time in the meeting here about getting a quote from them. We kind of postponed that because we thought, well, maybe Brown's was going to do it when we were in here, and then John said no. So I went back to it's Arborist Art. This is the name of the company. Tyler is the gentleman that owns it. Anyway, they're supposed to be getting me a quote to help reset the stump, if you want to call it that, of that banyan. It's going to have to be tilted back over a little bit. They'll have to bring in a large piece of equipment, and it's probably going to have to be a fairly large piece of equipment. I can't imagine what the stump weighs. It's going to be 40, 50 tons, but tilt it back over, prune the roots, clean the hole out, get any roots out of the hole, and then set it back, and hopefully it sits down, seats nicely in that spot, and then really should go around it with some dirt and fill in cavities, and then water the living daylights out of it. Sorry.
Okay.
We'll have that quote in a day or two.
All right.
John,
Any other?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask John, do we still have a budget left for tree work this year, or did it get rolled into the storm cleanup tree work?
We actually exceeded our tree work before the storm. So the answer was no, we really have used all the funds. And then of course it cascaded on the repair, but I think we had a 48,000 budget for tree work, and we were at 64,000 before the storm came. Just what had to be done with the cleanup up in Pinehurst and everywhere else. And not the cleanup, but the taking care of those trees up there that were causing issues. So
The oaks in the parking lot, was that one? Yeah.
I won't, we got January coming up, and we have added to the budget for next year. So within 40, 60 days, there's some money available already for anything that wish to be done. And we do have an increased budget this year. I think we went up to 64,000.
Okay, but we haven't used any of 2025's money yet for this 2024 problem?
Well, yeah, well, you're probably right. I mean, where did we get all the money to spend this 200,000 for cleanup? 50,000 came from reserves, from $30,000 from storm cleanup damage that we had. We exhausted that fund. $20,000 for tree propagation, growth or what have you, and we exhausted that fund. And then, of course, we had a considerable insurance surplus because of what we thought we were going to have to pay. And so that's really hit into the operating surplus more than your funds. The landscape funds in its budget is basically totally used for the year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but come January, we'll see a renewal of those funds.
That's correct.
All right.
But can I just add, to follow up for Tiffany, renewal of funds for normal operating things. And John, just jump in anytime, but if there's any fallout of 2024 extraordinary expenses due to Hurricane Milton, if they fall into 2025, you might be using up your 2025 funds pretty fast, or to the extent we have any excess insurance funds left over, as long as that insurance bill comes in, hopefully as budgeted, we'll be using up that money.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, it's a good point, Barbara. When we calculated the reserves, which was earlier in the year, for the distribution to the owners, both the $30,000 in the storm cleanup fund and the tree fund, totaling $50,000 between the two of them, were fully funded, and we had money in the bank. So we weren't planning on funding anything for the coming year. So really, the reserve funds will not get repaid until 26. And
Right.
so there are gaps, let's put it that way.
Right. So we'll be counting on the any excess insurance funds.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to add.
Sounds complicated, but we've spent the money. That's the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Well, yeah, other than what you said about the reserve, we really don't budget any extraordinary cushion expenses in operating side. It has to come from out, other sources.
Correct.
John, a couple things.
Right. Go ahead.
You're aware of it. I don't know. I don't know if Jeff's aware of it, but the shady lady that's over behind 828. This is the one we talked about the other day. That's leaning on the.
He we straightened that one up.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, it's done.
Great. There's also a tree on the boulevard. It's an oak. It's on the other side of the street, though. It's over there by, as you're going back towards Cortez on the right, that long row of oaks. It's split.
Is that us, Jeff?
Which side going out?
Right.
On the right-hand side going out?
Yeah.
That's not us.
That's not us. The problem with that tree is the way it's split.
Oh, yeah.
The main branch that's splitting off, when it falls, it's gonna come across the street. I don't know, if we can be
That's,
reactive on that. Or
Well,
something.
we helped them out initially with the trim, because that came down across the street. When last time it came down across the street, and we went in there and chopped it up for them.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it looks like a derelict sitting up there like it is now.
I don't know if we're talking about the same tree.
I thought we were talking about that dead. No.
Oh,
this is
I
a-
know which one John is talking about. Yeah, it had a beehive in it.
Yeah.
What, is
mhm.
that why it's still standing? Is because we're protecting the bees or something?
No, actually the bees are in
That's it.
the
Oh.
one that's been cut on the ground.
All right, that definitely is ours.
Well, but what I'm saying is there any point in being proactive with them?
We can ask them.
I don't know, Jeff, if you've ever seen this done. I've done this successfully, where you literally bolt the split back together. And it works. Now, this split's not bad. It's long. It's probably, Tiffany, you jump in here. It's probably 4 feet from the V, from where the tree splits, down through the main trunk. But it's only opened up at the top, maybe what, ½ inch, quarter inch? I mean,
Yeah, it's real slight. I asked Max to take a look at it just to get his opinion, since he has dealt with trees for so much of his career. And he said that he thinks that the split isn't so bad that the tree couldn't heal itself back together, but it would be advisable to take off the long part of that branch that goes over the road to kind of lighten the weight that's on that branch, so that the split doesn't continue to rip and just rip the trunk kind of in half. And then we're left with a bigger problem. But if what Jeff is saying is true, that it's not our tree, I don't know how we want to navigate that with Spring Lakes, I think, is on the other side.
Is that the Spring Lakes, or is it the office complex?
No, that's for like,
The Spring Lakes.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk to them. They talk to us occasionally. Can't
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so you guys know which one it is that we're talking about. It's prior to that one that you were talking about, John, that had the beehive in it that looks like a real mess right now. It's further south on the boulevard, prior to that first residential area of spring lakes, that first cluster of spring lakes, there's like a row of like 6 live oaks there, and it's the southmost oak. You could take a look at it if you feel like it, but Gus is right that if left untreated, that branch could very well come down in the road at some point.
It's about a third of the tree. Right now, that's a very healthy, nice looking tree. It's full.
Sure
It
is.
doesn't real damage to it other than this.
Yeah, it'd be good to be proactive about it, especially because it is sort of like a focal point tree, where there's, 6 oaks in a row that all look very similar, and it's, nicely done. I would be happy to, in the new year, once we get our budget renewed, kind of do a phase 2 of tree cleanup with the arborist, but I'm not sure how much money we're going to have given the discussion that we just had about storm expense and everything.
Well, you added $5,000 to the budget for the arborist services.
Hmm.
So, we have that for sure.
Hmm.
I'm sure that that's probably a minimum of what he might need.
Yeah, it's true.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It racks up so fast.
He once gave us a price of, what was it, Tiffany, $3,500 to do all the banyans?
Yeah, to do all the banyans, which was really cost savings, but we didn't take him up on it.
Trim all of them.
Yeah, he quoted us 3,500 to top and stand up all of the banyans that had fallen over in the storm.
Oh. Well, we've stood up 80% of them. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, the work's been done, so yeah. It's
Anybody
good.
else for Courtney?
Barbara, you,
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment to John when we go, just continuing last follow-up on this whole money and budget. That I'm sure you're doing it, but encouraging all these vendors that are doing the cleanup and the specialty stuff to get their bills in. So because otherwise they're going to fall into being paid next year.
We're 100% paid, Barbara. So,
Oh, good.
I mean, we should be so lucky as them dragging their feet.
Yeah.
They're good and we're up to date, so that's the good news.
Okay,
Our
great.
bills will be paid this year.
John, a question going back on the banyan, that needs to be set up, correctly. Jeff, do you think that's something you could do in-house?
Stand up a banyan?
Yeah,
No,
or reset that banyan?
the one on the corner by poolside? No.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've had the equipment to tip it.
That's gonna be, and I think what they're talking about doing is they're gonna probably have to rent a piece of equipment to come in. So,
More than likely, we'll have to bring in a heavy crane
rain or,
and grab it by the bottom, pull up, because there is a 4-inch pipe underneath of that as well. That's probably holding it up. Because the pipe is
Water
I don't know what it is. I mean, it's purple pipe is supposed to be reclaimed water, but there's no break in it. And with it being yanked up that high out of the ground, you'd think there would be a break in it, but there isn't.
Mm.
But that's probably why it's not settling back down, because you have that 4-inch pipe that's actually bowed up underneath of it. That's not letting it come back down.
so that's gonna have to be dealt with.
It's going to be dealt with first. And the only way you're going to do that, you have to actually pull the tree out of the way to find out where the pipe is in the ground, is get it back in the ground.
Mm. Has anyone tried going up there with like a really strong flashlight and looking under it to see yet? I haven't done it myself.
While it was still bent over, so to speak,
Yeah.
I went in and looked at the pipe, and we couldn't figure out how far down the tree and how far underneath the ground the pipe actually went.
Mm.
So we did investigate it. We were hoping that when we turned the reclaimed water back on, that it was not a broken pipe. Thank God it wasn't a broken pipe. But that still doesn't mean there's something else going on with it underneath the tree, because it is holding the tree up, in my opinion.
Mm.
Reclaimed water been here from day one?
The reclaimed water has been here since 2006 or 7.
that tree's been here for 40, 50
forever,
years.
yeah.
At least, so did they bore under the tree?
Oh, yeah, it is possible, yeah, because they had to do that, they bore underneath the roadways, and pipe from one side to the other, so it's possible.
I remember that project up and down all 43rd, not 43rd, but 34th Street, and that was an extensive project. So when they widened the street to 4 lanes and they put all that infrastructure in, it was quite a project back in those days.
Do we have any other committee comments?
I have one other comment. We haven't discussed the tractor.
Yeah, it's for the board for discussion on Monday.
Okay. I did a little research on electric tractors. You can't afford one.
We figured that.
They're 25 to 40 grand, the one that Kubota has, and it only has a 4-hour battery.
Yeah, that would in here.
Yeah, that works fine in here.
Yeah, well, the guys don't only use it for 4 hours. Well, that makes just half their day, they gotta work now.
Yeah,
This has to get, so you can work an 8-hour day.
that's right.
Yeah.
And I was concerned about the price because
The base model's 25 grand. Depending on what, then after that, whatever accessories and stuff you add to it, it can go up as high as 40 grand. And I couldn't find the price. They're just now out. I could not find a price on a replacement battery. And that is something you really need to understand. Everybody can talk great about these EVs, but if you're going to keep this tractor any length of time, you will be replacing a battery. You're not going to get more than probably 10 years out of a battery, the current battery that's out there.
Yeah. The technology hasn't quite come far enough as far as I'm concerned. I think we stick with the gas one.
Diesel.
or
It's-
diesel,
Or
yeah.
diesel, yeah.
Diesel.
One of diesel.
No heavy equipment. It's worth it with a battery in it.
And then what I didn't want everybody to do was go down that road and spend a whole bunch more time arguing over EVs and, we need to make a decision and we need to move on.
Yeah.
No, just stick with the gas. Yep.
Equipment out there.
Thanks for looking into it, Gus. That saved some time.
Yeah.
Because of the safety concern on the other one, I think that, we need to do it, yesterday.
Oh, we did. We can take the board about that. Go ahead.
Something else we need to be careful about. Somebody mentioned, I don't know, Tiffany, if this was you or we were talking about tractors and somebody mentioned the fact that you gotta be careful right now buying a used tractor. But there is a whole bunch of used tractors out there on the market. How many of them were waterlogged?
Water damage.
Yeah, well, that's it. I looked at one and the one that they said was their best was,
Look like the one we have?
yeah.
I think we stick with the new one, then we know it's hasn't been through a hurricane. Yeah.
That's for sure. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any owner comments?
Hey, all right, we'll start with Karen.
Well, speaking of the banyans, I noticed in Tiffany's notes for the landscape committee meeting last time that the banyans that have been stood up should be watered as soon as possible. Is there a projected time? Because we have the mega banyan behind us.
Well, we're running irrigation now. That's
Irrigation's
how
all-
long we're gonna get it.
So how does that happen? I mean, do you just like sprinkle it or does it go underneath or what happens?
There's rotor heads around it. It'll run either Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, or Monday, Thursday, Sunday. And for your area in the back there, it runs for an hour.
Okay. Is that, do you think, I wonder if Tiffany knows if that's a satisfactory amount?
That's a good question. I'm not sure off of the top of my head, but they have been so vigorous on our previous irrigation schedule. I'm hoping that that would be okay. But I can talk to Max and see if he thinks that it needs more.
Thank
I
you.
mean, it was alive and on the ground for whenever it fell off
But it
before the
goes-
irrigation was put on, so it was getting watered from a deep root that it is. So with the irrigation being on, it should be fine.
Jeff, the one at the corner up here though, is the irrigation on there?
Hmm.
Cause I mean, a lot of that was so destroyed in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had to redo a couple of pipes in there. because the tree actually ripped the pipes apart.
Yeah. Leslie?
Yes, I'm Leslie Jacobs and I live at 313 Springdale. And we have a lovely palm tree behind us that is being choked by it's a kind of a banyan tree, but it isn't. It's too many.
Strangler pig,
No.
not a strangler pig.
Carrotwood?
No.
I think it is a Cuban laurel. When I looked at it, it looks
Oh.
like this sapling just started growing out of the palm boots and has kind of grown down the tree.
It's strangling the palm tree and I'd like to have it removed. And someone suggested I get a chainsaw and I thought, but
I said, we'll look at it.
I can wait.
We'll look at it.
Great, thank you.
If it helps, John, I did have Max look at it too, and I'm scrolling through my messages to see. I had typed this out to make sure I had it. We have pictures if you want the pictures, and we did think that it was the Cuban laurel banyan, which means that it'll grow pretty quickly, and it would be a similar extraction method as the Schefflera that we took out of the jacaranda down by Katie Williams' unit in on the way to Pool 6. So it would be sort of difficult to remove and would need to be done carefully, but if we cut it and herbicided it in a few treatments. Max says he thinks that the palm would survive and bounce back fine, but it would need to be done in the next few years to keep the Cuban laurel from overtaking the palm. So just so you know what our take was on it.
Yeah, well, that's good, and I appreciate it. I went and looked at what they did behind the 600s there, and it didn't look like they totally extracted it more than cutting off its flow from the roots and treating it. And
Yeah.
that to me would show that you probably don't have to do this much invasion if you can cut it in a certain area and then treat it. I think that's the way to go. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's so true. Doing the sectioning and then herbiciding seems to be effective. However, sometimes it takes a couple passes, and I think we're seeing with the one by Pool 6 right now that we do need a second pass. The Schefflera is starting to come back off of whatever residual energy it has left, so we could hit it with some more herbicide if we wanted to handle that ourselves, or I could include it in whatever we do in 2025. With our tree vendors.
Sounds good, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Schefflers are amazingly strong.
They are. They really are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have one quick comment about the banyan that is just south of the Springdale where the office is. It looks like that it's actually starting to pop up new leaves, which is fabulous that it's already starting to retake and regrow, but it is starting to get grown up with arrow vine. So if any of our landscape team happens to be working in that area, if they could just grab that arrow vine and just rip it right off, it would help keep that from being overtaken too.
Okay, well,
Is that the first, Tiffany, is that the first one that started some growth?
I haven't looked at all of them super closely, but I have noticed at least 3 of them that had some branches with leaves remaining have started putting out like a lot of new leaves on those few little
Oh,
branches.
good.
So it is
Good.
starting to draw in more energy, and I think probably the next phase will be new sprouts starting to pop up
Good.
from all the cut areas. So yeah, it's
So it's
looking good
starting to
so
work.
far. It's promising. Yeah.
Good, great. All right.
Can I just ask,
Yeah.
what would be great for a future newsletter article is the before and during and after, like a grow back of these huge.
You're so
ones.
right, Barbara, and that means that I need to get out and get some pictures now for the before shots. So
Or just give me a call. I'll come with you and I'll take them.
sounds great. Sounds great.
All righty. Any other owner comments?
Roger.
Yeah, Roger Schultz, 151 Pinehurst. I want to, it's not for action today, but I want to submit a recommendation again for that area that's to the south of my unit, to the east of 149, that was so badly devastated, with the falling of that banyan. The 9 years I've lived there, there's never been anything growing. There's no grass will grow back through that. And there's a pathway that the folks in cluster A and cluster B used to get to the pool. So my thought at this point, since it's so devastated and everything's gone anyway, that perhaps a stone path could be put through there. So like so many of the other pools that you walk to, there are stone paths about the width of the golf carts. And nothing has grown in there in the 9 years I've lived there. Now some of the roots are up above the surface, making a trip hazard. And I know it's used a lot for people going back and forth to the pool. And rather than putting growth, putting something that's going to try to grow, like I said, 9 years, nothing has grown back there.
Talking about behind the unit.
Yes, between the building and where the banyan tree is.
Yeah.
Starting down like behind 153. It's all dirt all the way up through past my unit and on down through. And then sometime in the last couple of years, the team, I think, cut a little path through to the fence of the pool. And so if that could just be covered with some of the stone, I thought that might be a less expensive way to clean that up and make it safe for people to walk through.
Okay, we certainly can look at it. I know that immediately we have had some complaints from your neighbors about anything too close to the back of the building, because the one lady in particular thought that the people were walking in her slider.
This particular space, the closest it comes to any unit is line.
Yeah.
I know it. And then it goes kind of like this from my back door, it goes this way. Okay. So I don't see any issue because people are walking through there constantly anyway. To stay off the road for safety purposes. And my thinking, again, throwing it to this committee for future looking at. I tried to do pictures this morning, but trying to print them doesn't give you anything. They're better online. So I'll email that stuff into you for the committee to look at in the future, but it might be a way to restore some of that area and make it a safer walkway. Less expensive and no maintenance.
I can see your point, because anybody leaving your area couldn't have building splits or anything like that. They've got to go out and around on the road.
Right.
But some of the committee may wish to take a road trip up to Rogers. It's not like going to Tampa or something like that, and take a look at it so you can make a decision. Karen?
I have a similar question. I did a work order. I don't know if that was appropriate. Asking that there be some large paver stones from the pool to where the mega banyan is, so that we could walk safely to the pool. There is a collection of large paver blocks that go behind 170, 172, 174, 176, and then it ends at the grass. But since there's no grass there now, if you could put several of the large pavers, then when the grass is re-sodded or seeded, you can still just mow over them. If that's a possibility.
It's up to the committee to take a look at.
Good, thank you.
I mean, that area is kind of devoid of anything now because of the tree being down.
Yeah,
Most of the grass is gone and everything else.
but the people still go to the pool and it's.
Oh, sure. And Jeff did a heck of a good job of rebuilding the walkway to the other side of the pool. But to the side, no, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from anyone? All right, we'll schedule the next meeting.
probably the third Thursday in, January,
17th
which for the 17th,
or 16th,
16th,
16th.
okay, 16th. And, our esteemed chairman will be in attendance, is that it?
Me you're talking to?
You, yeah. Will you be here then?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay, cool.
Oh,
oh,
it's
yeah,
funny. Have Slum with us, huh?
the terror will be back, yeah. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
you.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you.